Are you currently waiting for treatment for an eating disorder? Perhaps you are on a waiting list, or maybe it's just something that you need to save a little bit of money for in order to pay for it. Maybe you're looking for insurance coverage, whatever the case may be. This is an important time while you're waiting, and it's really important to try to amp yourself up, hype yourself up, and to really become and stay motivated. First, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. I'm Long Island's eating disorder specialist. I post on this channel twice a week all about eating disorders, body image issues, and general mental health. So if any of that interests you, definitely click the subscribe button down below. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to my email list. The link to do so is in the description below. What you'll get there are weekly newsletters at the beginning of the week, letting you know what's to come in terms of my content. And I create worksheets to go along with a lot of my videos. And at the beginning of the week, you will get those worksheets for whatever complements the videos that I'll be putting out that week. And what's really great about that is it really helps you to get the most out of the content that I'm putting out there. This video was actually a request from Miss Jess Volk about amping yourself up to get the motivation while you're in that waiting period before treatment begins. So I'm going to give you 5 tips today to help you along that process, and in the meantime, while you're waiting, to really make sure that you keep momentum going or create momentum if you don't feel like you have it at this moment. So the number one thing I want to talk about is to forget everything that you know about eating disorders. If you've never been to treatment before and you don't really know anything other than your own experience, try to forget all the outside noise. Try to forget what everyone else has been telling you forever about eating disorders. Try to forget what the education system has taught you about eating disorders, because it's usually very, very incorrect, which is very unfortunate. But a lot of that information that's not correct can really be detrimental in your own recovery, and you may not even realize it. So you may go in with certain expectations or certain information that is very misleading, and then it could just make things a little bit more difficult for you. So I really encourage you to try to forget as much as you can about what you know with regards to all of that. That brings me into my second point, which is to try to not have expectations for your recovery. And that is not to say like, oh, you don't really think that it'll work or anything like that. It's totally not the case. But a lot of times what you expect is very different from actual reality. So the thing about recovery, and these might be things that you may probably expect a little bit more, is that it's messy. It's not linear, meaning that you may recover and you may be working toward recovery and you may feel like you're in recovery, and then all of a sudden something happens that kind of makes you feel like you're totally not in recovery and that you're in the depths of your eating disorder. That's usually not the case. Usually that's just recovery, and recovery is messy. Sometimes you'll have harder and more difficult times, and sometimes you'll have times that just seem a lot easier, and sometimes the very same situation can be very different, and you may react very differently throughout recovery. So try not to have expectations that it's going to be a short amount of time, or that it's just going to be easy, or that it won't be comfortable, it won't be uncomfortable. Just try not to have expectations that may make it difficult for you to actually work on recovery if it doesn't go according to the plan. Seamlessly leading me into my third tip, which is really try to understand that this process is going to be uncomfortable. It is very much not an easy nor comfortable process while you're recovering from an eating disorder. You probably have gone through a lot, and you really have to also understand that a big part of your eating disorder usually is a form of coping for something else. So you really need to address whatever that something else is, or other something else is, maybe it's plural, in recovery, because that's really the way that we need to address what is the root cause of everything, along with the behaviors that your eating disorder puts forth, along with relearning different coping skills. So it's going to be really difficult, because you kind of have to take away the coping skill that you've learned to use so much, which may be your eating in terms of control or comfort, and now we're trying to reintroduce other coping skills. So there's a lot of uncomfortable situations and discomfort that occurs in recovery. And that's totally not something to be scary. It's just something I want you to be set up so that you know exactly what to expect. So not so seamless transition this time is my number 4 tip. So this one is going to be to learn and to expose yourself all to eating disorder recovery. And this is something I'd be very, very careful with because there's a lot of information out there that's also incorrect, but there's also a lot of information out there for people who claim they are in recovery, and it might not necessarily be true recovery. Sometimes people feel that they're in recovery when they actually kind of just transition their behaviors into another form of an eating disorder that may be more socially acceptable. So be careful with it, but try to consume information and content that just feels right. Also, if you're sensing that something feels a little off or that it's feeding your eating disorder, chances are it's incorrect information or it's just a misrepresentation. So my channel might be a really good resource for you. There's a lot of information here and a lot of videos that I've done to help motivate you. And I hope that that will be something that you use in the process of before you begin your recovery journey, along with while you are going through your recovery journey. And there's also a lot of really great things out there too. So you may want to look online, see what people are saying, and you'll often see that if something is triggering, if it's a book, for instance, you'll have book reviews, and some people may claim they love it and other people may really say this was really triggering to my eating disorder. So be mindful about the content that you're consuming. Do some research before you actually consume that content, but learn and educate yourself, because it's going to be very motivating when you know the devil that you're tackling and when you are much more understanding of what its true forms look like. My number 5th tip, and stick around because there'll be a bonus tip also. My number 5th tip is to be angry. And I know that sounds so weird and totally like it came from nowhere, but your eating disorder really has taken a lot from you. Your eating disorder truly is something that can damage you so much, hurt you in so many areas of your life, and takes from your life. It's a bloodsucker, it's a life sucker. And there's a lot of reasons that we could be angry with your eating disorder. And not that anger to the extreme is ever really a positive thing, but in this case, I truly believe that having that anger toward that eating disorder could be so empowering. Sometimes anger is a really empowering emotion for us to, our behaviors to be driven. So if you are angry at your eating disorder, you want to go get back at it. And the best way to get back at it is through recovery. So use whatever the eating disorder had taken from you, use that, remember that, and be angry at it and say, you are not going to take anything else from me. It's just simply not going to happen. I'm going to recover and I'm going to get rid of you for good. My bonus tip is to list all of the reasons that you want to recover. You may really take a while and sit with this. There's obviously something that drove you to the point of seeking help in the first place. What are those reasons? What do you think that your eating disorder has robbed from you? Because obviously those are motivations for you to get back or to recreate or to live a life where those things aren't taken from you anymore. What does recovery mean to you? What does it mean that you could have? What does it mean that you could be? What does it mean that you could do? List all of those reasons, and nothing is too small, nothing is too big. Use whatever is going to help you motivate you in recovery, and make a list and keep this list running, because you also may find that there are things that pop up for you later on, and I want you to add to this list and keep it somewhere accessible. Make sure that you're able to look at it whenever you may be struggling, and even on the days that you're not struggling, because that list is going to be super motivating for you to continue in recovery, even when it gets uncomfortable and even when it gets difficult. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if there was a particular tip that really stood out for you, and why, if you have any idea as to why. You can click my face over here to subscribe to my channel, and I wish you motivation in your eating disorder recovery on your journey to finding your state of balance. I will see you in my next video.